think we all have to play a part, and it's important that we have white and black, yellow, brown, Chinese, Japanese people. Like reggae music is so popular all over the world, and I think that's important for us as a people on Earth, that we're saying one love. And so people say, oh, well, just that one love is not good enough. It's about black liberation and stuff. And I'm sure if it is for you, then I wish you well, and I will support you if I can. And I feel like it's morally right for me to do whatever I need to do with you. I'm with you as a human being.
Welcome to the First Coast.fm podcast, a creative platform of expression for musicians, artists, filmmakers, and the unsung heroes who behind the scenes help to make the First Coast of Florida a community rich in culture and a melting pot of ideas. I'm your host, Fernando Bernal.
Now, I've heard from the philosopher Alan Watts. He says, a Chinese baby would never ask, how was I made? I got a fun one here. Well, we got High Grade, we got Roll It Up. Roll It Up was a very popular song, Seed from a Tree. It's on the Cali Reggae Spotify playlist. It got many, many plays because it was on that playlist, I think. A good friend of mine, Alex Leva from Jacksonville, the Leva brothers, they have a reggae band called Jamen. He's helped me a lot, but he helped me produce the track that we put out for the song, and it's a great song, so I'll play that song. Roll It Up, if that's cool. Roll it up, it's just the highest grade of herb, we gonna roll it up, yeah. When we'll roll with that and then we spark it up. That's just the vibe and it can't stop the fire, we a burn, blaze it up. Well, yeah, well, listen. Ganja growing in the hills, Rasta man a awesome to the valley, gotta pay them bills, yo. Don't wanna swallow no dead man pill now with me. Sell me soul in a Babylon, chill, you know them. Well, Babylon, they good vibe, they try steal, but Selassie, we father children know what they deal, yo. In the power of the Trinity, yeah. 3 in 1, seed me and no one in the ganja tree. So we come to set the captives free, yo. Free upon yourself and get out on a loving spree, yo. Oh, no more hypocrisy, yo. We economically coming cause we love radically, yo. Hey, yo, oh, come blaze with me. The higher consciousness gifted as we live botanically, yeah. Take a deep breath and plant the seeds. They climb in a corporate ladder while I'm high up in the trees, yo. Roll it up, it's just the highest grade of herb, we gonna roll it up. Well, yeah, Rastafari, I said, spark it up. That's just our vibe and it can't stop the fire, we are burn, blaze it up. Well, whoa, yeah, oh, yeah. Roll it up, that's just the highest grade of herb, we gonna roll it up. Well, yeah, well, we said, spark it up. It's just the vibe and it can't stop the fire, Jaja burn, blazing sun. Yeah, well. roll it up. Sweet herbs, y'all.
Justin, welcome to the program, to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. We've known each other a little bit on Facebook. We're Facebook friends who become actual friends in real life.
Right.
And I'm so happy to have you
It's
here.
a pleasure. It's been a blessing, I feel like.
Yeah, well,
it's a pleasure.
where are you from?
Originally, I'm from upstate New York. I was born in Schenectady, New York, which is near the capital of New York, Albany. And I grew up in Saratoga Springs. They have a horse racing track that's very popular there, and a lot of natural spring water. It's a beautiful place, a lot of kind of outdoorsy. A lot of people think I'm from New York City when I tell them I'm from New York, but I never really had any experience in New York City growing up. I was kind of in the mountains and the foothills and stuff like that. And yeah, normal in the middle.
How'd you make your way to Florida?
Well, this is a long story, but most recently in my life, I had a realization and kind of surrendered to it all, that I'm a musician, and you know, why am I here? What is my purpose in life? The big questions, you know what I mean, that some people never asked, and I've always thought about it. It's always been kind of a quirk of my personality, but it became really the cornerstone, and I think in my life now, because it's like finding purpose is everything. It fuels me. It keeps me alive. It keeps me healthy. Right now is the purpose. And what brought me here was, you know, music, reggae music. I felt in my travels that it would be a good place to start a band and to be based as an artist, to be inspired by the ocean and write songs and do something creative, you know. And the nursing home and rehab music and arts mission that I do, I was actually on a trip with a friend of mine who is a mentor of mine, Mr. Ricky Starr, and we had a tour. It was the month of January. We did this twice, 2019 and 2020. We did 2 nursing homes a day, 5 days a week for the month of January, on tour from Tennessee to Georgia into Florida, stopped in St. Augustine. He introduced me to some of his friends because he's been doing it for a long time. And he doesn't always tour that way. He bases himself in different spaces and then just contacts the facilities, and there's always openings for activities and entertainment that's needed. So long story short, like that, it all just was rolling into one as I was on that journey.
So you're a musician, and you're the genre that you prefer is reggae music.
Yeah.
How long has that been a passion of yours? Or
Probably, well, I'll be turning 40 on Tuesday.
happy birthday.
Thank you. And, I was probably 15, 16 years old when I first, well, maybe 14, in that area. I was a young teenager when I heard reggae music, and I found a cassette tape. No one ever told me about it. I didn't really see it anywhere. Now, I did before then, when I was maybe like 7 years old. We used to go to the library. At school, they used to take us to the library, and we could take out whatever books. And I had a book on styles, like lifestyles or fashion kind of in a way, but it wasn't like presented as fashion, but it was different styles of kind of music, but the way people dress. And there was like punk, you know, and heavy metal and stuff like that in the book. But they also had a Rastafari. There was a guy with then they also had Ragamuffin, which is a whole other thing too. Now they don't have all the, it's different kind of, I'm sure in different places you have different categories and stuff like that for styles. But it was in a book. It was right there in a kid's book, which was so cool. And it just shows the power of arts and culture. You know what I mean? In the first place, like that opened my mind. It planted a little seed where I was like, okay, who is this person? What are they all about? It had a little short description, which really didn't get into much about anything, but it described that lifestyle. And the guy was wearing camo pants, had dreadlocks and stuff. And I was just like, well, that guy looks cool. I don't know why I've always been attracted to like something outside the norm, because maybe like my BS radar, it's just naturally always been, you know what I mean? Some people have that, and some people like to lock right in with things, but I'm always like averse to that. I don't really like the fakeness of the way things. I want to know what about reality, which I don't know if you can ever really know about reality, but it's something that drives me curiosity and an intellect kind of thing. And I think a lot of people have that. But I think I saw that expressed in the way those people were dressing, even though you might not think that person's smart because they're not wearing a white coat or they're not wearing a suit and tie. But something in my intuition told me that this person knows something, that I'm not being taught in school or by my parents. You know what I mean? How did they get to, they look so free. They're not cutting their hair, they kind of just ready for anything. You know what I mean? And yeah.
So you saw a photograph of a person that had dreadlocks and wearing some different type of clothing.
Yeah.
And that caught your attention.
Yeah.
And fast forward, you've mimicked that somewhat.
Yeah.
So the hair that you are wearing now is not necessarily because of your diving into Rastafarianism, or is it just
Well, it's a journey, I think, in life. When you think back, when I saw the dreadlocks, I'm a researcher. I like to research things. I was taught how to do that, so I do my research. I love to read books on things and look up history. I want to know the truth. You know what I mean? So I'm searching for the truth, and I see dreadlocks. I find out, okay, well, dreadlocks didn't start with Rastafari. You know what I mean? And first of all, what Rastafari is, everything is an extension of something else, because in essence, all things are finite, and therefore they don't complete the puzzle of where's the truth. And that's the whole point, that we're talking about anyway. So you have to kind of speak about the thing and the context, I think, that it's in. So I looked and found that dreadlocks existed in different contexts. And the very essence for me was a naturality, was that search for the truth. It's kind of, I mean, you could say it in so many different ways, but for me, it's kind of like, you could call it dedication, or they call it livication, to change the word so it doesn't sound like dead, live. And that's the Rasta thing. That originated in Jamaica. And, Leonard Howell, I think, was the original Rastafarian. He's a man who was a black man in Jamaica, and the history in Jamaica of the slave trade and the sugar cane, and the British Empire. That's something people can go research, and obviously, and it should be said that is a big part of the foundation of where that movement comes from, and it's a very important part of a lot of people's lives, and some people. And that also brings us to another issue. So I'm just talking kind of around the issue to get us into the center of it. So you have like the appropriation issue where people think, okay, well, based on the color of your skin, you can't really subscribe to these ideas because you're misinterpreting it and taking it in a different way. But if you really check it out, we're all in the bigger mandala. You know what I mean? We're in the mandala. We're in different parts of it. Nobody gets to be the whole mandala. So so I think we all have to play a part, and it's important that we have white and black, yellow, brown, Chinese, Japanese people. Like, reggae music is so popular all over the world, and I think that's important for us as a people on Earth, that we're saying one love. And some people say, oh, well, just that one love is not good enough. It's about black liberation and stuff. And I'm sure if it is for you, then I wish you well, and I will support you if I can, and I feel like it's morally right for me to do whatever I need to do with you. I'm with you as a human being. That's the whole point. And then that brings us to the point of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, back in the day when he was on the throne, inspired the movement through Leonard Howell. And then there's the foundation. Before him, Marcus Garvey, seen as a prophet, who said, look to the east, a black king will be crowned, and he's going to be the savior of the black people because they're the diaspora. They were taken. They see themselves as the Israelites, right? So they liken themselves. So again, so it's a metaphor, right? It's a mythology. And the same thing with the dreadlocks. When you asked me about the dreadlocks, I looked into dreadlocks and realized, okay, there's an essence of what this is, and it's been manifest in so many different cultures throughout history. But what is really the essence of it? It's to be yourself. And what is the self? It's that truth we're searching for. You know what I mean? And that's what I find. Like Bob Marley said, His Majesty, speaking about Rastafari, Haile Selassie, he said, is yourself. He's God. He's yourself. And how can you say a man is God? Don't you realize that God is everywhere and in everything? That's what the Hindus say too. All religions. I really feel like there's a truth, and truth is one, and words are many, or lies are many, or whatever you want to say. You can say it in so many ways. called Something in Your Head. Something in your head, something in your head, whoa, hey, hey. Something in your head, did you put that in your head, whoa, hey, hey. When there's something in your head, you got to look inside your heart. Something in your head, now you will know where to start. It's in your head, I said, your mind and your heart. Put them together and you'll know. I never wanted to be no pretender, no wallflower, not civic weekender. We live in a life we love, no lie, we never surrender. Only to Jah me bow our return to sender. Da, so they can tell we what to do. Ooh, we got we own way and we know the rights and truth. So Lassie, I come feel lead up the troop. Look inside yourself and you will know who is who. Something in your head, whoa, hey, hey. Well, there's something in your head, did they put that in your head, whoa, whoa. When there's something in your head, you gotta look inside your heart. Something in your head, now you will know where to start. It's in your head, I said, your mind and your heart. Put them together and you'll know, whoa, whoa, whoa. Be a friend of disillusion, burning out the doubts, propaganda, intrusion. Stand strong, righteousness speaks solution. Babylon, it's time soon you get your conclusion. Never wanted to be no pretender, no wallflower, not civic weekender. We live in a life we love, no lie, we'll never surrender. Only to God may bow our return to sender. So they can't tell me what to do. Got my own way and I know my rights and truth. So Lord, I come to lead up the truth. Look inside your soul and you'll know who is who is who is who is who is who. Mountains and I am the tree. I am the fountains and I am the breeze. The shining light, the life that you see. I am the love, I am the blood in the streets. Now there's something in your head, something in your head, whoa. Is there something in your head? Did you put that in your head? Wow, hey, hey. When there's something in your head, you gotta look inside your heart. Something in your head and you will know where to start. It's in your head, it's in your mind and your heart. Put them together and you know where to start, yeah. Where to start, yeah, yeah. From my feet to the ground, just speak with the sound. Make the world go around with the sea to move mountains. Feet that stretch out and those that flow from the fountain. Those in need is the mountain Rasta got to overstand. Said, I am the mountain and I am the tree. I am the fountain and I am the sea. Shining light, the life that you see. I am the love, I am the blood in the street. Thank you.
So a white kid from New York coming down and getting dreadlocks, you wouldn't consider that a form of cultural appropriation, but rather is a call in or a flow into a given mandala, as you say.
Because it depends on how you identify what your identity. You know what I mean? Nowadays they talk about identity, and it's very liberal. You know what I mean? And people are like, "Well, I'm this or I'm that, and so you need to call me such and such." And I think that things get taken to an extreme on purpose to stir things up, because it's like cattle rustling. We get people all riled up and kind of like, "Hey, that's not right." But really what it is, this is my hair. I didn't do anything special to get my hair this way.
Just let it be.
So it's not, so as far as me personally, I know I'm not appropriating any culture. Just if I examine myself, someone else might have a different judgment.
Right.
Yeah, and that's up to them to have their judgment that they want to have. But, and I think, and what is when you take something that's not yours, but who am I? That's the question I'm asking. I'm searching for the truth. I'm not here to take other things and put them into another thing. I was just born. Like, I didn't choose to be born where I was born. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was born. I look around. I make my observations and my conclusions based on that and choices. And I feel like this is the best way. And it sets an example, you know, because I'm here to show the younger people and to learn from the younger people too, who I am. You know what I mean?
Right. You mentioned Haile Selassie.
Yeah.
What do you say to those who think that Rastafarian movement has its roots in Judaism or roots back to Abraham?
Yeah. Definitely does. I mean, they use that route. It's a route.
Because the dreadlocks, right? So some quote some sections of the Old Testament book of Numbers. I think maybe chapter 6, I'm not quite sure, but someplace in the book of Numbers, you have the Lord telling Moses to speak to the Israeli people. And if anyone wanted to make a commitment or a consecration to the Lord, that he needed to, not comb his hair, let the hair just go, not drink wine or any kind of vinegar type of drinks, and not be near if somebody dies, not to be near a dead body, because that will contaminate them. Where do you see that today? And is the consecration to the Lord a lifelong commitment, or is it just a period of time?
It's, well, all of those things are concepts in your mind. So they may last a lifetime for a person, or they could be for a time. And you could think of them in different contexts, I think. And I think I've discovered the essence of the idea, because I think symbolically, not combing or cutting your hair is kind of like, because first of all, let's back up a little bit and talk about the way that East and West views, in a way, right, life. Now, I've heard from like the philosopher Alan Watts. He says, a Chinese baby would never ask, how was I made? He would say, how did I grow? Because essentially, another way to look at things in the world is that we don't come into this world. We grow out of it. We are this. And, but we're in the West more accustomed to the idea that we're this whole alien invader motif. You know what I mean? You see how we have the aliens, it's so popular? That's part of the that's part of the collective conscious. It's some of the, like from a Jungian perspective, that's one of the symbols, the mythologies, the archetypes that we have, or the aliens or the invaders, the conquistadors, colonialists, enslavers, going to lands that aren't ours and taking things, or having people come here who aren't from, who aren't our people. And are they safe? Are they not safe? That whole unknown thing. I'm getting kind of off. I'm getting way out there, but
no, that's fine.
But so there's those two different views. It's like the separateness view, or the kind of unit, like a more non-dual perspective, which is what I've really come to. And I think I've always had it, because I think ultimately that is the truth, and that's what we really are dealing with. But we can only think in terms of dualities.
Right.
And so many people don't ever question, is there anything beyond my thought about myself? And that brings us to this idea of conception. So don't cut your, I read that in a book that's called the Bible, and then I attached that to these ideas about Hebrews and who the Hebrews are, you know, because people today that call themselves Hebrews might not be in the context that there was at that time when there were Hebrews in the ancient past. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
They might be certified today 100%, but and believe that they would be then, but they just might not be. We don't know. You know what I mean? So I think the essence is like to allow the true being to unfold. Because again, just because it says in the book, there's this whole idea like you need someone to tell you, you know, how to be yourself or how to be true or who you are or who God is or what that is. And if you're only going to let someone else tell you, like, well, who told him? You know what I mean? You can go down that path. There's so many, it's kind of like castes or classes too, or paths. Some people shoot straight to the top because they want to kind of be, and people have different reasons for it. You know what I mean? That they become monks or they become religious leaders, or, you know, they might be totally renunciate where you don't even hear from them, you know. There's so many different paths to spirituality that I think, I don't know. I kind of started, I used to try to put out whatever you want to call, a facade, I guess, in words and in thoughts for myself, where I would be like, yeah, I am this because I read about it and I heard other people talk about a thing and be like, well, I'm a part of this group. And then I look into it more. I'm like, well, how do I be the truest, most hardcore one of those? And it's like, okay, well, I'd have to logically go do this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, well, am I doing that in my life? I'm like, I could, but like, no, I'm not. So I'm just not going to say that I'm that necessarily. I don't want to limit myself because I know I'm not truly limited.
Right.
All these boundaries are only there for artistic expression purposes.
This next song is a love song.
Hey girl, whoa, well, she got to know by now you're so special to me, yeah. So don't you go away, don't you make me feel lonely, no. Got to know, want you to stay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Even give me just one more day, I say, stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away. Anyone can say I love you. Stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away. Do you? But it was so cold without your loving, but now the sun is shining bright. Your love from up above and on, everything's alright. How long do we spend a lonely night? Never mind that, cause I want to keep on holding you. Yes, it's cold without your love, and now the sun is shining bright. Loving from up and above and the money sing, everything's alright. How long do we spend a lonely night? Never mind that, cause I want to keep on holding you tight. I say, stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away so soon. Anyone can say I love you. Stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away. Do you? She know I love the style and the smile, so she make me drive this stay for a while. Hey girl, Lord have mercy now, cause nothing seems so important to me. So I know ya, yeah, show ya. We don't need no paranoia. Girl, I'm right here, I said, stay a while, stay a while. go away. Any man can say I love you. Well, stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away. Stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away. So soon, anyone can say I love you. Well, stay a while, stay a while. She don't have to go away. But do you? Stay a while, stay a while. So soon. Stay a while, stay a while. Go away.
It's about love today, you know? It's too fast. Slow down. Thank you very much.
If you were to travel to Jamaica, how do you think you would be received by the local people or the actual Rastafarians themselves? Not saying that you're not actually one, but the ones that grew up that way.
Yeah.
It's in their blood. How would they view you? Or have you had that
I
kind of
think
experience in the past?
Based on what experience I have, is I've got friends from Jamaica who have always been very, very, very kind and loving and accepting, and because they're just real people. And I think that it would be 100% based on my energy, how I would be received from what I've seen. Because I was told too when I was young, when I first started being interested in Rastafari, I was like, I had a stepdad, and I told him, I was like, I want to go to Jamaica. You know, I'm really into this Rastafari thing. This is what I believe in. You know what I mean? And he was like, they'll kill you just because you're white. Blah 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 blah. I looked into it. I was like, no, not if I came as pure, like, he who is without sin cast the first stone. This is a Christ-based movement. You know what I mean? And that's the problem, I think, with religion a lot of times, is it's not based on the teachings of Christ. It's based on the book and all the other stuff people say too.
Dogma.
Yeah, if you're not allowed to throw out some stuff, then you're getting stuff shoved down your throat, and you need to not. You shouldn't allow that as an individual. You know what I mean? And nowadays they say it's so important. Like, individuality is becoming so important. It's almost pathological for our society, but it doesn't have to be. It's all a cycle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, do you think that the music that you have embraced, reggae music, do you think that itself is a reflection of the Rastafarian movement, or they just happen to go parallel to each other?
I think what it is it's the fruit, it's the result of the blessings and the seeds that the Rastafari have cast. You know, they took the terrible tragedy that has been slavery, the Atlantic slave trade. That tragedy has borne such fruit and hope for the future of humanity, I believe.
The music.
And I think the music is an extension of that. My music is an inspiration. It's my garden. You know what I mean? And I've got some plants that I've received from people, you know, from the prophets, you know, from the goodwill, from Bob Marley and all, you know, Peter Tosh, the Wailers, all. I'm not even going to get into saying names because every single artist, and there's so many people that nobody even know about all over the world, you know, that love reggae music. You know, it's just so big everywhere. And I think it's part of the hope. There's these little capsules we have to like send each other information. We can learn so much from people. I think we can learn so much from people from what we see as different. If we see something different, we need to understand it,
Right.
not fear it, you know?
You know, like Cuban music. Today you have Latin jazz, you have salsa, you have all this different types of music that have their roots in Afro-Cuban culture. And way back when, at one time, you had African musicians in Cuba mixing their music with European instruments, and it had a flavor of European music.
Yeah.
Is there a parallel to that in Jamaican music that eventually led to the development of reggae?
Probably, definitely. There's an echo chamber. It's
Like
Yeah.
going back to earlier type of music that was more native
yeah.
from the actual Africans that were living there at that time, and how it eventually evolved into using electric instruments, guitars,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Is there historical lineage that you can speak about? Like ska, for example.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily a scholar of music history, but I know a little bit about what I've studied. The guitar, for example. I recently learned that it was not popular. Now it's such a popular thing now. But I guess it wasn't that long ago. Was it 50 years or 100 years? I guess not 50 years now, but maybe 100 or so years ago. There were many people who, when it came on the scene, were like, this guitar thing is stupid. Like, it's not going to be a thing. And now guitar, it's like, oh, guitar, that's normal. You have to have a guitar, you know, to write songs. Like, not really, but, you know.
Like the guitar in reggae music, or just guitar in general?
In general, I think. And then when you want to go to reggae music, I mean, I noticed that a lot, and I've seen in interviews and stuff, and I refer to Bob Marley a lot because for me, he is a prophet. When people say he's a prophet, like, he's really a prophet. I take all his words to heart because they resonate with me. You know what I mean? Just like the words of Christ do in their own way. Like, there's some stuff in the Bible where Christ will say, and then I'll understand, but then Paul will say something, and I don't agree. You know what I mean? It's just not the way, and it's a different time, and it's a different context, and he's not the teacher. You know what I mean? So it's just... So I listen to what he says, and Bob, you know, his words about music is so simple. He said when he explains it in a way that the baby will understand when he explains it. Because he said with music, it was just like we went ka-chent, ka-chent, and then it was like chent, chent, and it slowed down. You know what I mean? That's just all it is. But I think you can make connections to what's going on in society and in the culture at the time, for sure. People are slowing down in Jamaica, I think. From ska, it was very fast. Things were productive, industrial times. As Rastafari started to grow, and I think through herb too, probably cannabis use maybe had something to do with it, but it's not so much a cause and effect thing with cannabis. I think it's the reach for a more meditative, peaceful realization of the self, rather than I've got to be a part of this machine, a cog in the machine. It's like everyone's becoming becoming like a realized master nowadays, or a god, basically, if you think about it, because inside everybody is a god in a way. Like you contain the totality in yourself, but you live in this paradoxical universe where you are not the totality as yourself, the concept thereof, but you have to act in such a way to survive. You know what I mean? Like, I have to eat, you know what I mean? Or I don't live,
So the ska, you say, was a little faster kind of music.
It was, yeah.
And then you have
Rocksteady.
Right.
I
That seemed
think there was
that
definitely
was-
they were listening to Bob said, no, originally, sorry, I got off track, but Bob and Bunny and them said that back in the day, what they listened to was what was on the radio. So I think a lot of Motown, soul music, I have a suspicion that that's where the drum roll at the beginning of dub and reggae kind of came from, because you'd have dun, ba, dun, dun, you know, like with Motown type stuff. The drums, they're very prevalent. And that, I guess, comes from, you could say, has an African influence, drumming. Because I guess drumming is simple. If people don't have a lot of money and technology, a drum is an easier thing to make than a guitar. You know what I mean? Or an electronic instrument, you know, nonetheless. So being able to sing and pound on things and tap on things and make a rhythm and stuff, it's just a very universal
it's the
human
oldest
thing.
instrument, the
Right.
drum.
And I don't think it belongs to a culture per se. I think it's human. I think we all, and if you want to look at science too, I think it's important to look at how the origins of humanity, they trace back to Ethiopia. And even if they found out different, like, it doesn't matter, but as far as I know, that's the up-to-date evidence that we have, is that, like, humanoid people, the oldest ones I found, Ethiopia, you know, it's kind of a center point in our minds now. And that's the thing, is, like, in this search for the truth, maybe one of the things we learn along the way is that, like, getting so technical about things isn't as important as, like, the story we're telling and crafting that story to what feels right in our heart. You know what I mean? I think that's what it comes down to, because you can say, oh, well, some people have bad things in their heart. Be like, but that's just relative to you. You know, we either have the freedom to do that or we don't. You know, we either believe in a story that someone else tells us or we craft the story.
Right.
You know?
Let me talk to you a bit about why I invited you to the podcast. I saw a response that you placed on Facebook to somebody else, in which you speak of the nonprofit organization that you have formed in an effort to bring music or entertainment to people in nursing homes. And I was really impressed by that. And so that's why I contacted you originally, so we can discuss that to some degree. Tell me more about that. Why are you doing that? You sent me a video,
Yeah.
and I can't get the sound because we have, but I'll get the sound later. And I looked at that video and I see the folks there, like, you know, there's people here on the side here.
Yeah.
They're looking somewhere else, but you're there doing this from the bottom of your heart. You're giving.
Yeah.
Then you have this.
Yeah. This.
Folks in wheelchairs.
So this is actually at the Ponce. This is a drawing. So my mom is an artist, and she's been a big help. And I've reconnected. I hadn't talked to her a lot in my life, over the course of my life, adult life, and then kind of recently reconnected with her. And she's an artist, and because I reconnected with my artist self. I'd gone through a bunch of trouble and almost got in a lot of trouble just doing crazy stuff. And but I always have essentially been the same person and wanted the same things, but I just was dealing with some pain and I think some confusion from my past, and I went on this on a bad trail. But it also showed me, it built my faith in God, or however you want to call it, because I respect how everyone else views. I even respect atheists. Like, I don't really feel like anybody owns the truth, but anyway, for me, my higher power, life, miracles happened. And you can chalk it up to whatever you want, but I feel like I had some close calls in my life, and that's a big driver too that makes me want to, I feel like it happened like it was supposed to happen, you know what I mean? So that I would be driven to follow my heart and try to help other people and have compassion. I've had so many experiences where I realized that, like, I am the other person, you know what I mean?
Right. So that compassion then has brought you to the point where you're willing to provide entertainment to folks in a nursing home.
I'd rather do it more than anything. And, I have to honestly say, too, it has to be balanced because I'm a human being. So it's a win-win. Like, I want to play music. It's been such a blessing. Okay, so I struggled. I hated all the jobs I had. I don't want to do any of those jobs. I'm not saying I'm that smart, but I'm not stupid. And I feel like it's hard for me to ignore anything that comes to my mind. So I don't want to ignore it. You know what I mean? I want to let it come and go. and things won't go if you ignore them. I think they cause mental illness, and that's why we have so much of it in the society. But that's for a topic for another day, maybe. But it's like, so a conscience, I guess you call it a conscience and a moral compass. You know what I mean? So when jobs I hate, yeah, I got to provide for my family and shit. But I'm like, this can't be it. This can't be life. You know what I mean? There has to be a better way.
Right.
I can better myself. I can offer a service. I can be helpful in life somehow and find a way. And music has always been so close to my heart, and I've always wanted to be a musician. I've always been a musician, but that there again, that's that they call it imposter syndrome. And, you know,
Right. Yeah, I'm familiar.
but we all get through it, and it's just a thing because we're people. But that humbleness is important too, that you don't go maniac and.
So
You know.
doing this in the nursing home, what is that doing for your spirit? Because this obviously is not to seek fame. Because
No.
there's
No.
fame there.
It's to keep
it's
me.
not a financial thing, because I mean,
No.
whatever money you make from that is not gonna.
It's been a blessing
it has to be more
financially
than
what I'm
that.
doing, but it's not. Trust me, like this is only, like I said before, I'm prepared. I'm well prepared to live with no money, and despite facing all these needs and responsibilities and this like incredible stress and anxiety that I've felt for a lot of my life. Nobody has ever that I know has seen me as a nervous person. Everyone tells me that I'm so calming to them and all this stuff, and I'm so chill, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm struggling like with anxiety, like hardcore my whole life, super hard in my mind most of the time. And I find these little releases and these joy, and that's why I have done drugs and things like that my whole life so much, and I drank so much and stuff like that, but I haven't had a drink in over 3 years now, and that was part of a transition for me too, getting into the nursing home thing. So what it's doing for me is it keeps me out of depression. It keeps me happy and feeling like I have a purpose in my life. You know what I mean? And I love music and I want to play music. So it just feels good. It's something I like to do. And the people appreciate it. To feel appreciated, like I'm going and making somebody's day. And I need to do that. You could call it karma yoga in a way. It's like, whatever work I do, I have to do in that way. And I've tried to struggle and do that, but by the grace of God, I've been given something to do that I love, that makes other people happy, and it's fulfilling to me. And I also realize there's so much of a need for it.
Right.
And the reasons are financial and other. But that being the case, I started the nonprofit because I knew that through grant writing and donations, but largely there's a lot of grant money available for arts and culture,
Right.
and health issues and things like that, and other types of issues. There's grant money there that people don't go after because, well, you got to pick yourself up first of all and dust yourself off and fill out the paperwork and create reports and do things. You know what I mean? You have to learn, you have to educate yourself, read and write and stuff like that. And I think even getting up to that point is so hard for people, and that's why I have a lot of trouble, but it doesn't really matter. I'm thankful I've had the privilege of getting a college education, being born in New York as a white man. You know what I mean? So I want to use all those things, all the power that I have. I just want to use to do good. I just want to be good. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody does too, but they live in a fear. They're living in confusions.
Fear of failure, fear of criticism.
Other
fear-
people, no, I think in life, well, we all have fears. So I think that most people are overcome by the same fears that we all have. And I think those are that like stepping out of the boat, I'd call it. Like, so, are you familiar with the Christian story, or you say Christian or whatever, but in the Bible story that says, that's where Jesus steps out of the boat and he asks his disciples to step out with him. To me, I saw the boat as like the situation I was in, like the jobs I was working, the life I was living. I had higher ideals, and I just kept falling from those ideals, and I'm not perfect or anything, but I think to really step up to them, it was more of a letting go and relaxing. And that's kind of like what my teachers have taught me too. Like when I say my teachers, I mean a lot of it, Mr. Ricky Starr and just other people that inspire me, musicians and people along the way, friends, people like yourself even, who are just doing interesting things, and living a good life with a good heart, because I got this view growing up. I was in the punk movement quite a bit, and I was very pessimistic and negative, and because again, I saw like the bullshit in the world. I saw the pain and the sorrow, the suffering, the injustice, the inequality. And what do you make of it? What do you do with it? And that's part of why I was drawn to the reggae movement, because the Rasta movement too, because it was a black liberation. I was really inspired by the movie Roots. We watched the whole Roots thing. I think I was in 5th grade, I want to say, in elementary school, right before middle school. We watched the whole Roots. I was so inspired by that, so moved.
Kunta Kinte, I think, was that.
Yeah, Kunta Kinte was the one who he was, in the movie, and he was taken over, right? And then they took away his name and stuff he was like the main character, right? Yeah. And I don't remember all the details, but I remember it was that movie, and I was so moved by that. And then you learn about the Pilgrims and stuff like that, you learn about Christopher Columbus and stuff, but then you find out a little bit, other sides of things and
some of the bullshit behind that.
Yeah, some of the bullshit behind that, and you find other perspectives. That's why I'm glad I went to college. Education, everything in life's a double-edged sword. It's not which way you swing it. It's which end are you holding? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
So at the nursing home, what you do more than one place, or
yeah, I try to do as many as I can. So
and certain days of the week, and so they're expecting you. The folks he's coming today.
Yeah.
What about the relatives? Do they approach you at all, saying gratitude?
Oh yeah,
that you're doing this for their
all
father,
the time.
mother.
There's people who come specifically on the day I come to see me play and to be with their loved one, which is great.
Oh, that's awesome.
They tell me, and I go around the world music-wise too. So I do children's songs sometimes, but I don't try not to be patronizing, but everybody was a child once and we all need to get back to that. So I'll go around the world. I'll do where I'm allowed to, I'll do some spiritual songs. I do blues, country, popular music, like the Beatles and stuff like that, like Johnny Cash. But then I'll do You Are My Sunshine. That song, You Are My Sunshine, so many people tell me, I've had literally more than one person, it keeps happening, say either my child or my parent sings that song or sang that song to me, and it always reminds me of that, And everybody sings along with that song. It's just these things that music is the thing that brings us all together,
Right.
So that's another win-win. Because there's the me and them. It's a total dissolution of barriers through this thing, because they're healing me, and they're getting healed with the music. It's okay. So here's an advertisement, because I want to encourage people to do this more, or hit me up and help me move this thing so we can do it together, because we are going to be applying for grants, which will help pay for everything. So
who is we? I'm sorry, you say we. Who's we?
I just say we at my organization, Seed from a Tree Ministries. We're also known as Musical Therapy Ministries.
Okay.
But I say we because we have a team. I have a board. We have a board of directors.
Right. You have to have 3 at least.
We have 6 people who are deeply involved right now. 2 of them are not really doing much, but they're there, and 2, which is great. They were there to help. They're doing a lot with what they're doing, but they sit on the board and they help advise. And then we have 2 new members who I'm excited about. One has grant writing experience. The other one likes accounting. So we're going to get our books all squeaky clean in order, which we need for our grant proposals. So we're working as a team, meeting monthly, moving forward, building our grant proposal, and hoping, by next year, by June, we want to have our first grant proposal done. We also have another new member, a person her name is Amber Hall, and she does a rhythm therapy where she brings drums and they have a circle. I'm going to sit in with her on it soon. I haven't yet. She just told us she wanted to join us. She's an LLC, and she needs a nonprofit to receive her grant funding, which she's been receiving. So she does a drumming interactive thing where everyone gets a drum, and it's such a win-win for us. See, I keep saying win-win because to me that's what business is all about. You know what I mean? Like, everyone wants to be in competition, this and that, but it's like, if we're not both getting something out of our interaction, then why are we doing it? Like, I don't want to take advantage of you. You know what I mean? Like, that's I don't want to live in that world. You know what I mean? I can't stand the idea that people even accept that as a reality, that they're like, this is, you've got to kind of see what you could get from people, and you can't. And I get it in some situations, but I'm just I don't do those situations. But anyway, what were we talking about?
You were talking about the new members that you have in your group.
Yes, Amber Hall with her thing. She's had grants in the past, so as we move forward with grant writing, she will look like, in an essence, we can say that we have programming under our umbrella that has received grants in the past. So we boost each other. I learned this with when I teach it. I want to introduce you to Mr. Ricky Starr as soon as I can when he comes into town.
I will be honored and be happy to.
I've got a video clip, too, I'd like to share with you at some point.
Yeah.
My name is Ricky Starr. I'm an entertainer for nursing homes and assisted livings for the last 22 years. I was working in a nursing home in New Jersey, and I saw that there was a need for some good entertainment. And I asked the Lord to give me something to do, and I find myself singing in nursing homes. Musical therapy ministry started by the people telling me that it's a ministry and not just an act, that the people are really being healed through the music and through the show. So my friends and the people are telling me, the family said, Rick, you need to let people know about this. So I was letting people know about it. Musical Therapy Ministries is a nonprofit organization that I've started to provide music for the sick and shut in that can't get out, nursing homes, assisted livings, and whoever can't get music. So we're asking people now to come to Musical Therapy Ministries and donate whatever they can donate. If you have time, if you have talent, if you have money, whatever you have, just come aboard with us to help this movement keep going. That's all we're asking. The nursing home, who don't have money all the time to give the artists, Musical Therapy Ministry will be able to have a platform that they can send artists in there and they don't have to worry about paying it, that Musical Therapy Ministry can take care of it. Our goal is to make sure that every nursing home, every assisted living, retirement has some kind of form of music every week without no charge. That's what we're trying to provide. Thank you for your prayers. I want to thank you for believing in me. Now, I want to encourage you to donate whatever you can donate. Love, money, good spirit. Go to musicaltherapyministries.org and see what's happening. Help us to uplift the better life of people.
And he just talks, because it was kind of a similar thing. He was interviewed talking about the nursing home thing. We started the nonprofit back in Tennessee about 5 or 6 years ago, and that one we dissolved because the structure, we didn't have enough support and everything. Closed it down, and I've been, like I said, I relocated here and then was trying to make my way here and get established as a musician, and then also doing the nursing home gigs. I have a pitch. I tell them I'd like to get $150 for the hour session, but I accept whatever you can offer, because that's about the maximum that some of the places offer, and some of the places don't have any money. Some of them will do 75, some of them want to do 125, and I figure if you want to give me the job, I'm going to take the job, because I'm here to do this job. I'm focused on the service I'm providing, not the money I'm getting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, I need money to pay my expenses.
Sure.
But that's where the funding will come in. So Amber gets grants with her drum therapy. She works in the school system mainly right now. She's a little bit established in there, and she's doing very well. And they will give you a grant, and then you get your stipend, and you have to you have to report and budget everything and say, well, this is what I spent the money on.
Right.
And you go do your job. And it's great because we need these kinds of things. Like, okay, so the main thing is if you were isolated to a facility and you couldn't get out, you know what I mean? It's like the coolest thing is just for something different to happen. Somebody to come in. Because a lot of places, I don't have statistics with me and stuff, but I'm very confident. I feel very confident that there are a majority of people in facilities who don't get visitors, who are sick. And I think that, I don't know, all I know is that there are a lot of people out there who don't get visitors, and when they do, it helps them a lot. And there are a lot of good people out there visiting and volunteering their time, but I want to do is build a movement and a force where we can have the funding to actually, the power to put the people in there, to have some kind of entertainment for everyone I want to think big for everyone in Florida. Obviously, everyone in the world would be great, but for now, we're Florida based, so we're gonna start in our area. We go from right now Palm Coast to Gainesville, Jacksonville, and back down to St. Augustine. I go to Fernandina Beach once a month too.
What type of support are you getting from the local musicians here in St. Augustine or St. Johns County?
Well, I would like to create some more events to create a way for people to rally around this movement more. I get a lot of people that say they're interested,
Right.
but I haven't seen very few, if anyone, actually like has done anything yet. But that's okay, because I keep going and this keeps on growing. So also, that's the other thing is I offer, if anyone wants to come with me, I've got contacts, you know what I mean? They're called activities directors at the facility, at rehabs and nursing homes usually. They have groups too, so I'm looking at tapping into them more too, but I've got to put first things first, which is, well, first of all, I go to the places that can pay me. So if I can't afford to get to the place, obviously I can't shoot myself in the foot. I just can't get there. But I have enough places. I have about 15, I think 17. I've got to count exactly how many I have right now, but almost 20 that I have per month sessions that I do. And I love to do more. But I make enough money to pay my bills for now and stuff, and just live a very humble life. And I got a situation, thankfully my situation is good, where I don't pay a lot of rent or anything. I just cover my overhead. I have my expenses. Everything is working for this. So I just keep, because that's how I know that it is. I know it's God's will, and I know it's the Tao, and I know that it is meant to be. It can stop any moment. It can not work out. But what has already happened is amazing.
So this is all you're doing right now?
Yeah, this is all I'm doing besides that and the band. I was doing like DoorDash and Uber Eats, just trying to make money, pay the bills.
Sure.
And I used to stress and run out of money. But honestly, now that I only do this, I've not once bottomed out. And in fact, I'm actually doing better all the time because I'm focused on my service. You know what I mean? I'm playing better. I'm performing better. I'm able to speak to people and show up to things. I'm able to rest when I need to and focus on my equipment and what I do. You know what I mean?
And you have a band?
And I have the band. And I'm like, well, okay, this is, so look, I'm like giving my friend gave me the form. This is the formula. Like, first of all, you got to be okay with not being a famous rock star just because you want to be a musician. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a musician and enjoy music and use it as your livelihood. You just have to focus. You know what I mean? And work on it and have some ability and figure out what's easy for you and what works for you and master that and find out where you can apply that, who needs it. You know what I mean? And people do. And that's the cool thing about nursing homes. Like, it's humbling because there's the whole ego trip. But people are like, I'm in a band. It's so funny kind of if you think about it in a way, like how the people that are big usually are humble, good people. You know what I mean? Because you have to work hard and they know better, you know, by the time you get there. But the people that are doing a lot, they're playing all the time. They have a lot of fans and stuff like that. You know, some people can act like dicks because they're human beings and whatever.
Right.
But then I know there's a lot of people who are at the bottom who are so full of themselves, kind of in a way. You know what I mean? We all get these ego trip, but it's probably out of insecurity because we want more, you know? But we can do it. We can enjoy now what we have. It's good enough. Like, what you have is good enough where you're at. Even if it's just like, look at the people that got like a bucket, man, and you're on the street. If you focus on that bucket and you're hitting that bucket and you got your rhythm and you do that for hours and hours and hours, you're going to have crowds of people gather around you and they're going to be filling your other bucket with money.
Right.
You know, whatever it is, you can, yeah.
Right. So you brought your guitar and you will play a little music for us.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Well, there's so many songs. I've got a song that I wrote with a friend, Mr. Ricky Starr,
All right.
which is kind of about this mission. Now, I was in college at the time, the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and I had gotten all the way to my sociology degree. I tried to divert and go back over. I wanted to do sociology and plant sciences, and kind of like I wanted to be like the permaculture eco-village somehow, you know, person to help save the world and create one giant eco-village where everyone grows their own food and there's no environmental problems, you know what I mean? And that's cool. I was trying to figure that out because I felt, but it's funny because it seems like an error, but I learned what I needed to learn because I didn't focus on music at all. And I've always loved music. I kind of got away from it because I was thinking about what other people in my life at the time were kind of think was acceptable. And there was a lot of fear and like terror behind me because I had almost like gotten in a lot of trouble. And I probably would have done time for just doing the things I was doing, playing around. Like I never hurt anybody. I never tried to hurt anyone or done any kind of violent crimes or anything like that. But I used to have drug problems and things like that and run around with wrong people. And I got in trouble. And but I got out of it. And I fixed myself up and I went to school. And that was part of it. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to school and try to do better. But I kind of lost sight of what I loved, which was music. And I was really starting to play music. And I had a band before I got in all the trouble too. But I went astray from that, and I wasn't playing my guitar very much. I was just dealing with these issues and with this relation. It was a relationship issue too, which this is all stuff from you pick up sometimes from your childhood, and you just got to learn and figure it out. You go through some stuff. But then I got back. I realized I was in my senior year. I was about to graduate from college, and I was like, I'm a musician. I was like, I just started yearning for music. She was calling to me again. You know, I was like, the music. I was like, yeah, that's who I want to become more of and better. And then I started playing again more. And then I met a dude that I knew from before. And he was like, man, I thought you would be a lot better by now. And that bit me. And I was like, oh, because I took all that time off just fucking up. Like, you know what I mean? Like doing dumb things. But it's okay. I don't feel bad about, for myself. I'm not down on myself. Like, it is what it is. You have to figure it out. So it's karma or whatever,
So you wrote this song.
Yeah. So this is called Charity. It's called Charity. But okay, so I realized I was a musician and I prayed for God to bring me someone in my life that could be a spiritual teacher and a guide and a helper for the music thing too, because all of that's always been connected for me for some reason. I think I got that from like Bob Marley and from reggae and stuff. It's like the spiritual element in the music, but it's not the same old spiritual stuff. But it's actually more like the same old spiritual stuff, because if you listen to it, like Joan Baez and stuff like that, it's not denominational stuff. It's like the golden fields lie just before me, God's redeemed. Like, it's not necessarily talking about their dogma. It's just talking about the concepts of salvation and realization, I would say.
You brought up Joan Baez there, and that triggered a thought about Peter Tosh.
Yeah.
Obviously different type of music, different times. But at some point, Tosh began to be more of an activist type of individual.
Yeah.
And the music might have reflected some of that. How do you feel about that, where the music is making a political influence or is influenced by politics?
Yeah.
What do you think about that as far as reggae itself?
Oh, yeah. I think that it is a very important aspect of it.
I mean, when you have Marley singing "I Shot the Sheriff," right? And there was a Desmond Decker, I think, was one of the early guys that we heard about. I'm not sure if that was rocksteady or ska, but he had the Israelite song. If you heard that,
yeah.
And the lyrics are really reflecting the economical status of that time. Later on, Tosh began to sing more about oppression and apathy and so on.
Yeah.
Today, where does that stand, or how does that fit in the current reggae scene?
I think that's a universal vehicle for a man to express himself, for a human to express themselves. You know what I mean? Man and woman. Because media, what is media in essence? We have the media when people talk about what is the media, but nowadays we have the internet, right? So and just an example here, we're making a podcast where we're not funded by CNN or any of those guys or whatever, but we can say whatever we want.
Right.
And so many people, many people in the world can hear it. And like we said earlier in our conversation, I saw images and heard things when I was young that totally broke me out of the matrix that I was in, that I grew up in, that I was born into. You know what I mean? Like they planted seeds and gave me ideas that really helped build who I am today and how I approach life. To be able to think outside there's so many uses for music. If you think the example, with the Maroons, the Maroons in Jamaica.
Maroon societies.
Yeah, there's the people that I saw a video of them. They have different drum beats and calls they give to each other because if you don't have a telephone or something, and I'm sure people have done this all throughout history, but you're on the other hillside over there, you have certain calls to communicate different things if there's trouble or something, good, bad, whatever, to communicate. So it's a communication.
Right.
We're speaking. It's all of that for sure. And if it definitely has an effect. But I think that the state of music today, there's some really good artists out there saying some things that are very relevant, but a lot of it gets lost. You know what I mean? And because there's so much out there. And that's one of my personal things is that as an artist, like my lyrics, I think, are cutting edge in that way where it's spiritual, and it's critical of things. And it's just me speaking from the essence of my very soul. You know what I mean? Not as who you think I am or who I think I am based on my history or my past, but my very essence as a living being. You know what I mean? Right. In this world. Excellent
book, Maroon Societies, Runaway Slaves. Really goes through all the whole history, not just in America, but also in South America and the islands as well. It's glad you brought that up. So, Charity.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
check it out.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sound good? Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna kick it from the top one time.
Love for all humanity. Charity is my religion. Charity is your decision. Practice every day on highway, so my soul should never go astray. But every man must help another. Sufferation's got to end. You're listening so very carefully to the message we send. The best friend could be the enemy, enemy could be the friend. In a world so full of conflict, got to stand firm as a blend with the colors running like the blood of innocent people. Try to defend the fascist gunning like a brood of bloody vipers. To the end, my people come together. This is the message we send. Living in love with life, Selassie, I recommend y'all. It's our mission. Hey, hey. Charity is your decision. Whoa, whoa. Practice every day on highway. So my soul never go astray. Charity is my religion. Charity is my decision. Well, whoa, whoa, whoa. Practice every day on highway. So walk my soul will never go astray. System is set to program, try to inoculate the youth. The schism wedge now is crumbling. They can forever hide the truth with larger education. Still, the leaders look like fools, living a life of money, politics, and precious jewels. They sing that's not the way the Zion live, where love is the only way. You weak them like a 7, they wanna use you every day. Nothing could stop the movement, people want to be free. Never been a politician, got to have my charity. Yeah. It's our mission. Hey. Charity is is your decision. Yeah, yeah. Charity, charity. Yeah.
Loved your music. That was really a lot of those original work that you've written.
All of it, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all original stuff. We got a lot of original music.
That's great. And you play this in the nursing homes?
Sometimes I'll bring that out, but I
Uh-huh.
generally play stuff people know.
Right.
And I found a bunch of different things that I enjoy playing that other people really like. So I can't always do requests because I don't know everything, but I come prepared with plenty of material to fill out an hour or more with.
Watch some little older little ladies say, "Free bird, free bird."
Yeah. Well, people always request. They say people I've never heard of. A lot of them love country music because they hear me play a little country here and there.
Yeah. Little
They're like,
cowboy
"Oh, do you know
twitter.
so and so?" I don't know a lot of trivia, or I really don't know a lot about anything. But I have the songs and.
It has been such a pleasure and honor having you here, man.
you.
I am stoked. I'm honored that you did this, and I thank you for taking the time. I hope that we do it again. I am really interested in learning more about Ricky Starr.
Yeah, definitely. He's
Yeah, we'll play a clip of him, and I thank you again, man, for coming in. Is Love your real last name, or is that
no, it's actually Leduc.
Leduc?
Leduc. That's just a Facebook kind of thing. Because yeah, you could be however you want. So
right.
I figured I'd spice it up. And people mispronounce the Leduc a lot of times. It's Leduc, and they don't know how to pronounce it and stuff. So I just make it whatever I like. A lot of friends call me Seed. Now Ricky Starr calls me Seed, and when I moved here, they introduced me as Seed to everybody. So I'm Seed. But I tell people I'm Justin or Seed, whatever, you know.
Justin Love.
Yeah, Justin Love. There's other Justin Loves out there.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
an artist I really like, Mike Love.
Uh-huh.
I don't know his name, if that's his real name or what. Don't care. But he's awesome, dude. He does a loop show. Everybody should check out Mike Love if they never heard of him, too.
All
Like,
right.
He's very successful doing what he's doing. And he's got one of my favorite songs he plays called Permanent Holiday.
Okay.
He takes the loop thing to a whole other level. He's an incredible guitarist and singer. Incredible. You got to check it out sometime. It's called Permanent Holiday. He says, I'm going outside to play. I ain't gonna slave away.
He's Kevin Love?
So it's Mike.
Mike Love?
Yep, Mike Love, Mike Love. And check out Permanent Holiday. That is one of the best songs out right now, I think. It's been around for a while, but it's a great song.
So where are you performing at?
Most Sundays we're over at Jimmy Hula's on US 1. It's a taco shop. We have a Reggae Sunday from 2 to 6 p.m. Coming up, is it next week? Next week, September 15th, Friday, we're going to be in the Sing Out Loud Festival at the Colonial Oak Music Park, downtown St. Augustine, from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we will be at Finn's in Flagler Beach Saturday afternoon from 2 to 6. Yeah, Finn's rooftop pub with a sunset and the view of the ocean and everything. We'll be jamming. I think we'll have the whole band up there jamming on Saturday, September 30th, too. So a few dates. And you can always go on my website, seedfromatree.com. Right at the top is my calendar of events. You can see every nursing home I go to and every show that we do with the band. It's all one. I want to keep it combined and just... It's a movement, man. We got to stick together. We got to work together to get through life, to live the life we love and love the life we live, you know?
I spoke to my friend Rafael Powers last night. He thinks the world of you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he
That's
just
nice.
really gave a big...
Wonderful. Yeah,
nod
yeah.
of-
I know them. There's plenty of really, really awesome people I've met in St. Augustine
Yeah.
so far, and I'm so thankful, man. They've been great. Like, good family around here. A lot of nice people. I had that feeling when I came to visit. That's why I moved here, and I have not been disappointed. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yes.